I couldn't ask for like a better response, for our debut. So it's been really cool.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. Conor, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. The album Born is now out for about 2 weeks as we're talking. We'll get to the reactions of all of that and how things are going in just a second. But just for you personally, now that you kind of were living up to that moment for a long time and now the album is out, how do you feel? Are you like exhilarated, energized, or just extremely tired right now?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, the reaction has been really good. I'm sometimes when like I put out music, like I never really kind of know where it's gonna go, and sometimes I just think it's like little silly things that I write or the band writes. But it's been pretty energizing. We just had a record release show that was really just like a ton of fun. It was definitely one for the books, and a lot of people came out and a lot of good energy. So there's definitely like a lot of energy around us right now. So we're like really kind of like riding that wave. There's also a little bit of exhaustion, I guess. From now we've turned a great radio child has gone astray. But like all in all, it's I couldn't ask for like a better response, for our debut. So it's been really cool.
For sure, yeah. So let's go straight into that. You're absolutely right. There's a good buzz, and the album is getting good reviews. This is also one of those albums that, as I was listening to it for the first time, I copied the link to the Spotify album link, sent it to friends of mine, said like, you need to listen to this. You're gonna love it. And I quote, get a response back like 40 minutes later of a buddy, oh damn, it's already over. People really seem to resonate with it. And also, you're seeing not just support from the listeners out there, but you're also now being supported by very well respected labels. You're seeing Billboard chart success. How weird is that for your debut record with this band? Is that a humbling experience?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I kind of just got word of that yesterday, so I think for definitely for like what we're doing, like 70s style prog, I didn't envision kind of that sort of aspect of like charting and stuff like that. But I'm kind of just like absorbing what it means, I suppose. But yeah, I mean it's been really cool. I don't know. Maybe a little bit humbling.
Yeah. You mentioned it. You're playing basic. Well, you call it 70s prog. I mean, there's people that put on the record will easily find some even late 60s, early 70s Purple. There's Yes on there that you can find. Anything from a Winterhawk, Wishbone Ash, some early Pink Floyd as well. But the album as a whole definitely doesn't sound dated, which sometimes is a challenge for bands that are truly embracing, a retro style of music. Is that something that is top of mind for you when you're going into recording this, that you don't want to sound like somebody that is just pretending to be in the 70s?
Not really. I mean, it probably should be. I think, a lot of people, some people kind of like don't appreciate the kind of retro vibe of it, the retro aspects of what we do, and that's totally fine. But I can't, I don't necessarily seek out, like this is gonna have a 70s retro sound or feel or anything like that. It just kind of happens because that's tends to be the music that's like closest to me. I listen to all kinds of music, but when I listen to kind of like my favorite production, it's not even necessarily prog, but that 70s, like early to late 70s era style of analog recording, analog synths, analog keyboards. Those are the tones I like. I really think I listened to, a lot of the kind of earlier, well, even later Steely Dan, that I think they really is kind of like the peak of like that, the apex of analog recording. And I just like the way it feels and the way it sounds. It's not too harsh, it's warm, and everything kind of has its place. If you listen to like the real kind of like more obvious influences, it would be things like King Crimson, Pink Floyd, and kind of those 70s prog. But we listen to tons of jazz and metal. I listen to tons of metal, and I can hear those influences a little bit. So those are a little bit more modern.
Yeah. No, and it's also personally, I wouldn't necessarily just slap the label of prog rock or prog metal on you guys. I think we see more bands out there, and under the more and more being called the adventure rock scene, where we see bands like Halas and Wytch Hazel and Taineth doing things that are, everybody's unique, but they all kind of have that similar vibe that you bring as well. That seems to have become a proper scene or a proper movement. In the last 5-6 years, this has become really, really popular again. Do you see it that way? I know that you guys share a label, obviously, also with Wytch Hazel, but is there somewhat of a camaraderie, or not really?
I know all the bands that you just listed, like from like listening to their YouTube, like listening to them on YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know them personally. I think we definitely like would love to get on the road and kind of like establish, like what a camaraderie with them. But in the sense, I think it's kind of hard for me to see this as like a new wave, I suppose, because it's, I was in a band called Astra before this, where we were kind of doing similar things. Like the term adventure rock is kind of new, so maybe the music of Birth is a little bit more adventure rock than Astra was. But I kind of see that music, having been played for a while now, but I guess lately there has been a little bit more in the last 5 or 10 years. And I don't, like most people, really like to get into labels, but I would say, to me, what I think of when I think of prog is like, it's just kind of deviates from like a normal song structure. So and the reason why I like the kind of music that we play is because I can write something that sounds like, singer-songwriter, and then just break into like a jazz part or like a classical part or something like that. There really aren't like any rules. And I like a ton of different kinds of music. So I mean, if I can incorporate like, boy band music, I'd probably like do that if it didn't sound weird, but that was the boy band music, but but I think that's kind of like, for me, what it's about is just kind of there aren't really kind of these rules, and just kind of messing with the song structure, and kind of making it more of like an art in a way.
Does that mean that you're somebody that sees inspiration kind of anywhere and never stops writing, or are you more like, I know that I have to work on an album, and so I'm going to like make my surroundings as best as I can, and now we're going to just double down on writing? Like, how does that go for you?
No, I'm pretty much always kind of writing. I think it's really like a creative release for me. Like when I don't do that, it's it starts kind of messing with my head a little bit. My style is sort of like, I'll write a bunch of little parts and kind of like, it might kind of cheer me up in the day to kind of like think about it. And then when it comes time like to put together an album, I kind of go through the archives and I got this, I got that, this was cool. Or I'll look back at something after like months of making it that I thought was cool, and then I'll look back at it and it kind of sucked. And so it's sort of like that, just like building up a catalog of a bunch of different things, and then just sort of putting them together. I mean, the kind of music that we write is a little bit more pensive, maybe I'd say. So like, definitely it's more like in your head. And I think in the last few years, that's kind of where everyone's been because you can't really go out, party quite as much. So, and I know a couple of songs on the album, really mostly one was written really kind of like in exclusion with that state of mind. And so, I don't know. I feel like there's a mix of things happening right now where there are like this kind of, some people have just kind of attuned to just wanting to stay at home and listen to music and not go out. Yeah. Other people want to go out and like party harder than they ever have. So it's interesting because like, I think a lot of people maybe can listen to the album or any, album of like this more kind of deeper and adventure nature and really kind of like get into it, absorb it, and kind of let it take you on a journey. But at the same time, like the shows that we've been playing have had more energy than other shows that I've played in the past. So yeah. It's really crazy to kind of see those two dichotomies and like them both kind of come together.
This is music that you can build a really cool show around. Something that might even just flow from start to finish, and you create some of that storytelling through music. What can you already share with everybody watching this video that they should keep their eyes open for?
Well, we got we just played a record release show, and and that was pretty awesome. So we have about 50 minutes to an hour of music right now that we could play live. Some stuff off, the majority of the stuff off the album, and some of the stuff that's kind of new, or some of it's actually even predates the album that didn't make it on the album cut. I think right now it's a little bit hard to kind of like book shows because like there's, especially right now during the summer, everyone's all booked out. But I think we're looking to this fall to do like a West Coast California kind of tour, and then next year we're going to try to do maybe go out to Europe. So stay tuned.
All right, well, I hope that we can see more announcements of you guys when it comes to shows that will take you on the road, and hopefully also up here in Canada that you can try out some of those new ideas and sounds you have in your archives, as well as obviously all the phenomenal songs on the Born album. Conor, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And super excited about the album coming out. Something different and really, really well executed. So thank you so much. Really, really love the album. And can't wait, like I said, to see you guys, hopefully in a very dark venue, bring these songs to life with a cool light show or something like that.
Yeah, let's do it.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.